In the gospel today, we have Jesus going back to his home village, to Nazareth, and he was offering them some kind of Independence Day, as we are celebrating today. Our foreparents wanted an economic independence from their native land, England, and they declared themselves no longer hanging on to England for its sustenance, its identity. The word pend, such as pennant, pendant, depend, suspend, all those pens are from the Latin word meaning to hang on to. And they were, England was the mother country, and the colonists got their identity from being dependent, hanging on to them. They said, no more hanging on. And that's what we celebrate in the United States as Independence Day. What Jesus is offering, we've seen it in many other gospel passages, Jesus is offering his hearers and his watchers an invitation to not be dependent on certain things. So we have the word repent, to let go. Oh, there's a phrase we don't like so well, letting go. But repent is what Jesus' mission is. Not just repent from sin, but repent from what are you hanging on to for your identity. So the United States, freeing itself as the 13 colonies, not knowing yet what they would be, they knew what they didn't want to be. So Jesus comes to Nazareth, and they marvel. They're astonished at his teaching, and they say, we know his parents, we know his brothers and sisters, we know all about him, we know who he is. What they're saying is he must be a fraud. So in the time of Jesus and in the Hebrew scriptures, that once you knew a person's name and where they were from, you had control over them. You had expectations, and they will fulfill them. And the person who was known had to fulfill those expectations. So Jesus is himself independent for his identity and his power from who they know him to be. They are not aware of who he really is. And he is saying, by my mighty deeds, by my actions, I am not who you think I am. And he's asking them to let go, and they couldn't do it. And he was astonished at them, at their lack of faith. What were they holding on to? Certainty and the security of control. They were dependent on what they knew about him, and independent. They weren't going to hang on to him as something different, something a bit insulting to their cultural ways. So we have this Independence Day, which is in relationship to Jesus. Every day is an independent day, calling us to face what we're holding on to, certain things. We can have certain solid images of God, for instance. And we have to let go of them too. We have to let go of the image that the people had of Jesus. They could control him. We have to let go of even our image of God. Imagine that. We have to, in a sense, repent or not depend on a false image of God, to let God be mysterious. What the 13 colonies were going to be, that was going to be quite mysterious, and they had a lot of struggles to become not just independent from England, but dependable on each other. And we're still struggling with that, how states can depend on each other. But Jesus left there. They had heard that he did great deeds there. Of course, town boy made good. Elsewhere, of course, we're going to control him here. And we'll be a celebrated city, village, because we know who he is. Now, the real call is to let God be mysterious. I know this is hard, but Jesus is defying all concepts of who God is. God is a judge, and his hearers were very afraid of God. God was punishing. God needed to be manipulated by this or that prayers or sacrifices. God is not to be manipulated. And so this is a strange way to call us to an Independence Day. But Jesus is always calling us in our own prayer at the Eucharist, in living the sacraments, calling us not to be defined by what we do, not to be defined by our controlling God, by our image of God, to be freed, to let God be mysterious and let others be mysterious. That would be a great independence, to not hang on to regrets, revenge, to let go of concepts of friends or enemies or parents or children, to let people be. England did not want the colonies just to be. They wanted them to be hanging on to them. Maybe the call of the prayer today, the prophetic call, the sometimes insulting call that Jesus is, to let God be God and to trust faith. The people in town wanted facts. They wanted him to see. They wanted to see him doing these things for them. And Jesus was astonished at their lack of faith, which is what? Their lack of freedom to let God be God, to let Jesus be Jesus. They would not let Jesus come and go. They wanted him to stay there. And they wonder, where did he get all this? Jesus knew where he got it. They didn't want to know. How could he have something that we didn't give him? That's what they're saying. That we didn't give him as neighbors and leaders. He's got something that he didn't depend on us. Where is he getting his dependence, his freedom, his availability to receive who he was? So maybe a final call in this Independence Day, and according to the scriptures, is to be freer and freer, to be a mystery to ourselves, and to trust that, and not be defined, not hang on to past images of ourselves or names that we've had for ourselves, to let nothing or no one control us in a negative way, but to depend little by little by little on the same God that Jesus hung on to. He was dependent for his name and his power to do good deeds, as we are from the goodness of God. The goodness we have celebrated in the Eucharist, the goodness we have received, to distribute because we depend on the giver. Happy independence life.